Hey everybody, welcome, rise and grind, let's go. It's Monday, January 8th, 2024. This is Rise and Grind with VinceTagliavia, where I talk about the news and events of the day in the morning, and then we get on with it. Welcome, one and all, across all the platforms here. We're live on Rumble, DLive, YouTube right now, so please subscribe where you watch. Thank you very, very much. Hope y'all are doing well. We're going to get into things, and we're going to start with finance, and then we're going to move on into the rest of the news that has unfolded over the weekend and this morning. And we might touch on health. We're really heavy today because we've got 3 days worth of news to cover, and we're going to do our best to prioritize what is most important out of that. Everything we don't cover is going to be published on Substack. So if you're not subscribed to my Substack, you could go to VinceTagliavia.substack.com. There's a link in the description, and you can subscribe. Everything I talk about's there and more. This is what it looks like. It's just a simple summary. So here's the one from Friday. It gets published just after the show. The Flynn movie clip that we looked at, all the finance and everything kind of divided up into sections: political, U.S. news, world news, health, other stuff. So everything's there. You could find it. And that's just so you have access to those links without having to search around too much. So there you go. Well, thank you, Lindsay, for following this morning. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good holiday, and Happy New Year. Oh my gosh, we're 8 days in. It feels like we're 8 months in. This month is going slow. Holy moly. But we're doing all right, right? We're doing okay, hanging in there. But things are certainly shaky, to say the least. I've got my coffee here. I'm finishing my second cup, and then after this I gotta hit the pavement running. Oh gosh. Let's get into it. Finance. Let's just look at some prices this morning. I think we opened up in the green. Yeah. Well, the S&P 500's up 0.5%. The Dow is down 0.2%. NASDAQ is up 1.17%. And we've got some news. But first, let's look at gold and silver. Gold and silver, they're about where they were last week. Nothing big there. Same with Bitcoin, back up to 45,000, just over. So that's where we're at there. We'll keep our eye on it, just the basics and the general flow of things, and any breaking news along the way. What do we have this week in finance? Luckily, we have these wonderful people out there that understand finance better than the average Joe like me. One of my favorite here, Genevieve Rock Dector on Twitter at GR Dector. If you're not following her, go for it. Such great updates, especially if you're a little bit of a nerd like me and you like the financial updates to be served to you on a platter or explained to you like you're Joe Biden. Genevieve is there, and there's others as well, but that's just one. She writes, "Good morning, everyone. Packed week with CPI on Thursday and banks kicking off earnings on Friday. Key insights on banks in Q4. Financial stocks hitting 9-month highs. Weak M&A, little IPO activity, and pressure from paying out 5% to money market depositors. JP Morgan expected to have 7 times revenue growth of peers. JP Morgan stands as the only bank expecting an earnings boost. Oof. Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America anticipate a decline in profit profitability. Banks holding over $700 billion in unrealized losses. Whoo. Brace for sharp rise in reported bad loans. Buckle up, kids. So we're looking for we're expecting a sharp rise in bad loans. Meanwhile, they're trying to make it easier to get loans by decreasing those rates. Oh, we'll see how that all goes. Great. Half the world is night comments here on Rumble. Too many crazy things have already happened and it's only 1 week in. I know. We've already got aliens. We've already got, all kinds of aliens, space aliens and illegal aliens from other countries and all kinds of things trying to permeate through the news cycles. Oh, whispers of war and straight up, not even whispers, but straight up war. My gosh, you're right. It's insane. Hey, Quiet Toad. Good morning, Fig. And Lori, Lisa, Oompa, and Lindsay. Hey, all. Good to see you all. Good to see you all. Good morning. Get that coffee. We're getting into it. And Army Rangers. Good to see you. Let's go. All right. Well, let's hear a little bit of what Jim Cramer had to say the other day. This is just pretty remarkable. If you ever heard of reverse Cramer, then you'll be right on track with this one. Check it.
Let's get to Jim and stop trading.
You are going to see sporadic stands being made by Mag 7, but one of the non-Mag 7 stocks that was really terrific last year was Boeing. And Boeing has now pulled back nicely. And I think this Deutsche Bank piece today, still early cycle. Those of us who have followed Boeing for the last 30 years know that when they get the cycle going, it's not a one-year thing. It's 4 or 5 years. So there's a stock that's come down that I think you can say, you know what, that's a buyable. Not going to get a downgrade Boeing. You're going to get many people saying upgrade or that you should buy versus say Apple, where you're just like come in every day and it's like, hit me again. You're hitting.
So he's talking about how great Boeing is and man, it's pulling back, but it's a buy. It's a buy. Let's pull up the Boeing chart. Well, Boeing is doing horrible this morning, down 6.58%. Lordy. Hopefully your portfolios out there aren't too Boeing heavy. Let's go ahead and look at the 6-month chart here. Full screen. Since let's go back here, 6-month chart. He was talking about this, a few days ago. It just started pulling back, and it did come up a little bit. And maybe some people grabbed maybe people cashed out on a little bit of profitability after that aired. But then a sharp continuation of this decline here, all the way down to $232. And this is because there have been flights canceled. There was an accident, a safety incident that occurred over the weekend. And that is the catalyst for what we're seeing with Boeing prices today. Insider Paper wrote an article on it. They said Boeing shares plunged by almost 9% early Monday, weighing on the Dow after the beleaguered manufacturer was forced to ground some of its 737 MAX fleet when an Alaskan Airlines panel blew out mid-flight. The aviation giant's woes pushed the Dow into the red to open a week that will also see key U.S. inflation data, the kickoff of fourth quarter earnings season, and the Consumer Electronics Show. About 20 minutes into trading, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 0.4%, still down. Blah, blah, blah. Investigators are probing the Alaska Airlines jet that suffered the incident, which miraculously led to no fatalities or serious injuries. Regulators grounded Boeing 737 MAX planes with similar configurations to the Alaska plane for inspections. The incident comes as Boeing has sought to turn the page after 2 deadly MAX crashes in 2018 and 2019. I recall that, man, they've had it rough. It seems every year there's just something, or I don't know, man. All the years seem like they're all like it's all one scary nightmare of a year, but they've had issues again and again and again. Scrutiny also hit shares for Spirit Spirit Aerosystems, which builds key components for the planes, insider paper writes. Shares of Spirit dove 15%. Alaska Airlines dropped 4.2%. They're all getting kicked today. My goodness. And remember, we've got our bank earnings coming up too. Whee! This is going to be a volatile week and an opportunity to make money for the people in the stock market. They like these weeks because they've got this volatility to play with. People that trade options like Nancy Pelosi and understand what's going on really cash out on weeks like this. Especially all those inverse Kramer people. If people, the people that are, there's literally people out there that hear Kramer and then they just do the opposite and they just make an absolute killing with their investments. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, a panel blew out of this plane, which is just absurd. And I guess there's actually video here. And I was hearing allegations that there was actually some kind of depressurization warning on the plane, but they took it out anyways. And then they had this scary event happen. This is like my worst nightmare on a plane. This is why I don't like flying.
We are very, very fortunate here that this didn't end up
big hole
in something more tragic. No one was seated in 26A and B.
Wow.
Where that door plug is.
And that's important because when that failure happened, at least I heard this initially, is that the seat that was closest got sucked out of the damn hole.
The aircraft was around 16,000 feet and only 10 minutes out from the airport when the door blew. Fortunately, they were not at cruise altitude of 30,000 or 35,000 feet. We are very, very fortunate here.
Oh. There we go. Little status there. Oh, so a lot of flights have been canceled. They're grounding. Things are not looking good for Boeing. Let's move on here. So I think this is a different one. This is okay. So they're finding parts for this plane everywhere, and the cockpit voice recorder. This is the same one. It has been sent to a lab in Washington, D.C., and when it arrived there, they said there's nothing on it and that the data had been overwritten or it was never turned off or something along those lines. It's just a fiasco. Can anything go right? The failures across from airlines to just simply reading this data, just like, how are there so many failures? It's just crazy. And we've got more failures to talk about here coming up. It's just absurd that nothing goes right here. We've got new updated data in. The New York Post, which is just a horrible news organization, but this is a little bit of true information. They said that initial U.S. employment reports were overstated by 439,000 jobs in 2023. Wow. That was right on cue. I mean, when we announced this data, we say just stand by, though, because they'll be revising the data, and here we are. This article by Elizabeth McDonald, Fox Business, and then picked up by the fake New York Post. There's something wrong with previous U.S. job reports. The government quietly erased 439,000 jobs through November 2023. A closer look at the numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows. Surprise! They just needed those initial positive numbers in order to keep things together and the facade of everything's okay, and carry on into this wonderland year of 2024, which is just going splendidly. Just crazy, huh? Absolutely crazy. Holy moly. Please hit those like buttons wherever you're watching. That helps me, helps people find me and lets me know if you're enjoying it or not. And also the comments are appreciated too. By the way, speaking of comments and feedback and these kinds of things, the best way to get in touch with me is either on Twitter. if I follow you back, you can send me a DM, and or if you send me a message or tag me and say, hey, Vince, I'm your #1 fan, follow me. I'd be happy to follow you, and you can contact me. Or you could go to my website in the description and get my email and give me some feedback. I received some feedback last week where one show I talked too damn much about health, and I kind of did. It was very health heavy, and I care about the topic greatly. But I think I'm going to cut back on that a little bit, focus more on the news. However, I'm going to be publishing other videos about health. And right now I'm in the process of doing a lot of research for a very exciting project. It's all about health and history and all this fun stuff. I'm really excited. I'm working on the research and everything, and I'm going to release that as soon as I can. So I'm going to separate the health out so that way we can consolidate our news from our really detailed health topics. And I think it's a good move. So thank you for the feedback, and go to my website and give me more feedback. I'm also working on new introductions. I'm going to keep the branding. I like my logo and stuff. I'm going to keep that, but I'm going to do a new intro, new outro, which I don't even have yet. And then I'm going to change my whole layout, my whole format of the live show. It's going to be great. So I'm working on that, and I'm really excited. So stay tuned. Things are just going to get better from here. All right. All righty then. Let's move on. There's a lot to cover here. Let's see. What else do we got? I think we got some more financial stuff. Aside from the bullshit data being revised, BlackRock will be laying off 600 employees. BlackRock? What's going on here? Let's take a look. I believe we have a video here. Let's have a listen. Oh, it's Larry Fink. Oh, sorry. Here, I guess I should share, huh?
Behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. What we are doing internally,
Really?
is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted. Okay, you have to force behaviors, and if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race, or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. Behaviors are...
Whoa. Well, that's crazy. I mean, they're just out saying it. Like, if you don't follow our rules and do all this crazy woke stuff, then you're going to be impacted. Basically saying, play our game of crazy, or we're not going to let you play the game at all. So they'll be laying off 600 employees, mostly from the ESG division. End Wokeness writes on Twitter. ESG global investments collapsed by $5 trillion in just 2 years. ESG is the system used by BlackRock and Vanguard to blackmail companies into adopting woke practices. Here is BlackRock CEO Larry Fink next to the CEO of Amex explaining how ESG is used to force behaviors. This ain't right, folks. This ain't right. All right. Just horrible. Man, I'm sorry I don't have any great news. I don't think, do we have any good news today? I hope we do. I don't think we do, if I recall. But you know what? That's just the reality of the situation. I'm not here to blow smoke and feed you damn lies. Other places you could get those. Just go to somewhere else. But, CNN or something. I don't know. Even that's not positive, is it? One thing I'm trying to do is create positivity on my Twitter account. I'm unfollowing super negative or inappropriate people or inappropriate posts that I'm not interested in, because I don't want that to be in my sites. So I'm unfollowing a lot of people, and then I'm following really non-political accounts that are just like nature and photography and art and animals, cute animals, things like this. And it's really great. I'm really enjoying it. And so if you're not following me on Twitter, follow along. It's not all just negative news in this. I have a little fun, and I laugh and joke a little bit. Just search my name, VinceTagliavia, and you'll find me. We've got an interesting little device by Samsung debuted in the world's. It's the world's first transparent micro LED screens. Pretty cool. Let's look at this. This is very interesting. Look at this screen. transparent, three-dimensional, colorful, elongated style, transparent micro LED. Look at that. The future is here, folks. What the hell? That's pretty interesting, huh? I'm curious what this thing is on the very right-hand side. This device, a camera of some sort. It's off camera. Now let's see here. It's just fascinating and pretty damn cool. So what's that thing? Microphone? Okay, maybe it's just a microphone. Anyway, just an interesting device. Kind of cool. I wanted to share with you the technology coming out this year. Transparent screen. Wow. All right. A little bit more finance. We've got Evergrande, the indebted Chinese property developer. Their electric vehicle unit has been, the head of their electrical vehicle unit has been detained, the firm said today. The head, Insider Paper wrote an article, and they wrote that the head of heavily indebted Chinese property developer Evergrande's electric vehicle unit has been detained. They said today, the second executive from the company to come under investigation in recent months, and they're just on the verge of collapse, folks. It's interesting that these people are being arrested. It's lost half its value in 5 years. The real estate giant's woes deepened as a Hong Kong court last month gave it until late January to put together a restructuring plan, extending a deadline that could lead to its liquidation. We shall see. Not good. Army Rangers, the colors. That's funny. Angry. Okay. Welcome, Oompa. Thank you. It's a cool name. The disruption in the Red Sea is leading to an insane rise in freight rates. We talked about this last week. This is continuing. This has not stopped, and it's probably going to go deep into the year. Wall Street Silver writes on X.com that the situation is deteriorating as the trade volume has now plunged to lockdown levels. And they're talking about the great pandemic or whatever. What are we calling it? I don't know. They write, we all know what transpired in 2021 as global supply chains were ruptured. If the disruption, in quotes, is prolonged, the second wave is indeed coming. Ooh, and a nice little chart here for reference. They ain't lying. Metric tons of trade volume transiting the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. We see this spike going down in May 21, or just before May 2021, or the end of March. That was from the pandemic, so-called pandemic. We saw a quick V-shaped recovery and then increasing until recently, where we see this major decrease nearing these pandemic levels. It matters. It's taking more days to get things shipped. They're going around the Horn of Africa now, and expect this to be in the headlines for weeks and if not months to come. We've got Russia and Iran ditching the SWIFT system. We've been seeing this develop over the months with the development of the BRICS nations. The sanctioned countries no longer need the Western system for transactions, says the deputy head of the Central Bank of Iran. RT.com wrote an article on this, going into further details. But the gist of it is BRICS nations are ditching the dollar. De-dollarization is well on its way to becoming a reality, decreasing the value of the dollar, screwing over the West in this global war. And this is just the financial side of that war, which is not looking good. They have more people under the BRICS nations than we do on the West using these dollars. So it's quite alarming, especially considering a lot of these BRICS nations hold a lot of oil and these kinds of things, which backs the value of the dollar. I mean, this is just a recipe for disaster. So I would recommend not holding all of your eggs in one basket. Don't have all of your life savings in your mattress. invest in commodities, physical gold and silver. And this isn't investment advice. This is what I would do. And generally what people who invest say is good is to diversify in physical gold, physical silver, palladium, or whatever. Palladium, is that the metal that people get? Whatever, metals. As well as maybe a little bit of Bitcoin or crypto if you're into that, or not. If you're not, that's fine too. Different stocks and just a plethora of things. Physical things are great because they're usable and extremely valuable, especially in times of uncertainty and destabilization. Like, anyway, diversification is real. Platinum, thank you, Fig. It's Monday. Let me I'll be good here soon. Strife, yeah, Fig, there you go. Strife. Half the World is Night says, my concern with crypto is that it could easily be wiped out in a cyber attack. That's absolutely true. Which is like same with cash, right? Cash could lose all its value overnight too, which is why I say don't sit on all your life savings in cash, or your backup plan is all cash. Although it's good to have some cash, it could lose its value overnight. And then if all your eggs are in one basket, you could really get screwed over. Same thing with crypto, same thing with anything. Less so with metals, but at the same time, you can't eat metals if you need food, right? Yeah, crypto is very risky, and everything has a certain risk. And I think it's probably more risky and more volatile than most other investments, which is why a lot of investors that I've listened to say that you shouldn't allocate too much of your investment capital into crypto. Just be a little cautious and understand, if you do invest a lot, the risk associated with that. And that's your decision to make. But, you know, we've got to be smart with our investments is all. Absolutely good points there. Onward. Let's go onward. We have Germany. German railway employees, truck drivers, and farmers are starting a major strike across Germany today. It's been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks, but today is really the official start, I suppose. This is due to the abolition of agricultural subsidies, higher tolls, and low wages. And they don't want more taxes. They want a little bit of, you know, a little bit of freedom, a little bit of respect, and stop trying to stop their government from just taking advantage of them. The strikers announced that from January 8th, they will be present everywhere in a way that the country has never experienced before. We've got some video of this unfolding in Germany now. Whoa. Okay, sorry. I'm not going to share the audio. It's just terrible, terrible music. There's just a few here. Absolutely horrible music. Here's more in the night. They've got their lights on. They are really clogging up roads and whatnot. And we've got multiple videos. Just lines. Look at that. Just the highway is completely covered in these. And, you know, I realized I had a hypocritical moment with this situation. It's very reminiscent of the Canadian truckers protests that we saw happen. And everybody was very excited about that. Just people standing up and standing for what's right and whatnot. Freedom. But then we see like the same thing. I mean, this isn't good for the infrastructure of a city, right? I mean, you're blocking the roadways, people can't get in and out, deliveries can't go in and out, the economy kind of comes to a standstill. It is protest though, and we see this on both sides. We see this, you know, from farmers, and then we see this from the radical lunatic left, right? Correct. And they block roadways. Their protests are, of course, usually smaller numbers, especially now I'm noticing, and we'll look at one here in a second. But when I see, certain protesters blocking highways, I'm just like, oh, that's horrible. And then I see this and I'm like, oh, that's good. They need to, be taken care of by their government, or better yet, they need to take control over that system for themselves, because it seems like a lot of these systems are infiltrated and corrupted and completely off track. But here we go, more from Berlin. Is this Berlin? Yeah, Berlin developing. Chuck Callisto posted this. Anyway, it's bias, right? Anyway, I just thought I'd point that out. I don't know why. I was just thinking about it. Just kind of being aware, honest about the situation. I kind of have this in a bad order, so let me just do this. There we go. That's better. So we've got, like I mentioned, these other protests from the other side of the aisle. This is in the U.S., in the good old Washington State, Seattle. Jonathan Cho reported on this, that yesterday protesters took over the I-5 highway. And let's take a quick look at this. Stopping traffic. Relatively small protest, maybe 50 to 100 people. And the police came in as well, as you can see there. And just traffic at a standstill. This lasted for a few hours until finally it ended, after the far left activists and pro-Palestine / Hamas supporters were allowed to take over the highway. They left. And they're just allowed to do this. They're not arrested. They're not, nothing happens. I mean, they just stop critical infrastructure and it's fine. And here's the bias though. Should, if the farmers in the US stand up and they decide to bring all the tractors onto the highway, are they going to be treated the same? Or, it's just, they're not. Let's just face it. They simply are not. It's finally over after 3 hours. Far left activists were allowed to walk off the I-5 without any repercussions. Here they are, marching and chanting. Relatively small group, but it's happening. It's happening. We're slowly starting to see more and more protests as we get into this year. I think just ramping up to this election. It's an election year. I think we're going to see this continuing in this social destabilization and this left versus right narrative and this negativity, this division, where really it's going to be turning the people against each other, but the real enemy is the ones controlling the narrative and pitting brother against brother, right? Literally, in a lot of cases. I mean, it's crazy. They're pro-Palestine. Fig says they're pro-Palestine, which I can't blame them for protesting murder. Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's violence is not good no matter what. And I get that. But I think there's a larger agenda. And I do. And I think that they're being taken advantage of, if I may say, which is the same for any type of protest or any type of anything. It's going to be infiltrated. It's going to be taken advantage of, etc., etc. Vince gets crabs. I would love to go crabbing soon. That's another thing I need to do, is get a camera to take y'all on my crabbing adventures, and I'll probably put a new channel out there, or I actually have another channel, personal channel, where I could post that fishing stuff and crabbing stuff. Yes, I have crabs sometimes. Thank you, Army Rangers. All right, onward. Onward. I wonder what we're going to see as far as climate this year. Right now we have winter, right? And we actually have a large storm warning for the east. Where's that story at? Oh, shoot. 1 second. Let's see. Another winter storm to slam central and eastern U.S. with blizzard, flooding, and power outages is reported. And the reason I'm curious about later in the year is we see these wildfires and things, and I think we're going to see it again this year. Record heat, blah, blah, blah. Let's take a quick look at this. Just be prepared, folks.
Connecticut 2 to 3, an easy 1 to 2 between our big Northeast cities. So here's a look at the power outage forecast Wednesday through Monday. We have widespread power outage loss expected across very big cities on the 95 corridor.
Absolutely, especially along the coastline there. So just stay aware of your situations. Make sure you have batteries and alternative power sources and ways to stay warm and food to eat and water to drink and first aid in case there's a medical emergency or an injury that occurs. All that stuff's really important. Although statistically, it's unlikely that people go through these events. It can happen, especially as we get into the uncertainty of 2024. I mean, prepare to the best of your ability. Even if you're on a budget, even a small effort goes a long way. I promise, statistically speaking, eh? So go for it. Do something. All right, let's go backward here. What are we going to see this winter? Like I said, I think we're going to see more of what we've seen over the past summers, not winter. We saw this, the People's Voice put out an article. Top climate scientist drops a bombshell. Uh-oh. Gosh, my phone. Wildfires caused by World Economic Forum arsonists, not global warming. A top climate scientist has blown the whistle about how wildfires around the world are being deliberately orchestrated by the globalist elite to promote their global warming narrative. Patrick T. Brown, a senior lecturer at Johns Hopkins University, claims the majority of the devastating wildfires are caused by activists working on behalf of the globalist elites. Whew. And we suspected this all the way back a few years ago when we saw this evidence of arson when we were having these widespread fires during the last election cycle. What a coincidence, huh? Especially in Oregon and Washington. I remember a few videos where they came and went and were largely ignored as people were being censored across the web. And I hope we don't see this again, but I wouldn't put it out of the question. As a matter of fact, I think it's very likely we will continue to see this with the lack of law and order and the fact that a lot of these people that did it years ago and every year since likely have not been arrested or anything. They're going to continue to do this. And it's a horrible, horrible situation, isn't it? Oh, I hope I'm wrong, by the way, but expect the worst, hope for the best. That's all we could do. At least we're aware of what's going on here and we could be ready. Looks like we're on our way to avoiding a government shutdown with this bipartisan deal. Bipartisan funding agreement moves U.S. one step closer to avoiding government shutdown. I don't think there was money in there for Ukraine or anything crazy, but just the typical political shenanigans still. Nancy Pelosi came out here and she's probably wasted. Let's hear what she had to say.
So we have to handle this with care. We must secure our border. That's for sure. There's no question about that. But we also must honor our responsibilities in terms of asylum and the rest. And the president has that in his proposal. And what they say is, oh, it won't make a difference. No, it will make a difference. Let's get the job done. Let's do it soon.
Wow, Nancy. Yeah. Wow. I'm starting to really like this Nancy lady. Not? Okay, Nancy. We also have New York Congresswoman Clark, Democrat, saying the quiet part out loud about the border. Let's hear what she has to say. I hope. This is a little, we're getting the loading here. Let's see if we could refresh. What's up with that? There we go. No? Well, she said, this isn't loading. She said, quote, I need more people in my district just for redistricting purposes. Huh. I need more people in my district just for redistricting purposes. maybe that's part of the reason why the border's wide open in the years leading up to the election, right? Redistricting, gerrymandering, and such. They're going to be utilizing this illegal immigrant situation to their advantage with these elections. Probably, this is both sides. This is a both side issue, to be honest. And I think it's a bigger scam than maybe a lot care to actually admit. But that's scary. They're saying the quiet part out loud. My goodness. Yeah, I don't know how Nancy Pelosi's still involved. Black Jester, no idea. By the way, thank you, Black Jester, for the donations there. I appreciate that so very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Very kind. All right, onward. We're coming close to an end here, but we've got more. We actually still have about 20 minutes. So we had some big news with Secretary Austin. Just really mind-blowing. Blinken came out and said, with regard to Secretary Austin, I wasn't aware of his medical issue. It's terrible audio in this video, so I'm not going to play it. But Breaking 911 wrote that the Pentagon press secretary said, quote, Secretary of Defense Lloyd J. Austin III remains hospitalized at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, but is recovering well and in good spirits. The secretary spoke to President Biden yesterday. This was in a press release that was released yesterday. Apparently, people are freaking out and really up in arms because Biden was unaware for days that Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin was hospitalized, according to fake news CNN and others. And apparently, according to the insider paper, Biden is not considering firing Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, a White House official said on Monday, but the official was unaware whether Austin was unconscious in the last several days. They say it was from an elective surgery that went a little awry. It was just an elective surgery, folks. Don't worry. They don't have to tell the president. I mean, why does the upper echelon of a government have to communicate with each other anyway? I mean, that's kind of, right? That's just, there doesn't need to be communication. I mean, come on. We had kind of a cool thing going on over the weekend. I was like, oh, this is cool. Peregrine Mission 1 live. First U.S. moon lander since Apollo blasts off. And I was like, whoa, cool. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon again. We're going to the moon. The Earth's not flat. The moon's real. Okay, I don't know. I'm not a flat earther. I'm just joking. But it says here, Sky News, the spacecraft could be the first U.S. mission to land on the moon since 1972, if successful. Little caveats there for a reason. It will be a wild, wild ride, the CEO of the company behind Peregrine's creation has promised. Follow along as we bring you live updates from the launch at Cape Canaveral. Here we go. Here's the launch. It was cool. It launched, and I'm having trouble. Oh, here we go. Having trouble loading videos. Here it goes, and it launched off. Pretty cool. Ignition and liftoff, but the excitement was short-lived. Everything seemed fine, right? Nothing exploded until, well, nothing exploded even until today, but apparently they've encountered technical problems on the way to the moon for the first time in 5 decades. Insider paper writes, an American lander is bound for the moon following a successful launch, but the historic mission led by private industry is experiencing a technical issue that could derail it. A brand new rocket, United Launch Alliance's Vulcan Centaur, lifted off from Florida's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station at 2:18 a.m. GMT, 7:18 GMT, for its maiden voyage, carrying Astrobotics Peregrine lunar lander, seen here. Peregrine separated as expected, powered up its systems, and made contact with ground control. But, quote, unfortunately, an anomaly occurred which prevented Astrobotic from achieving a stable sun-pointing orientation. Astrobotic tweeted, adding, teams are working on the problem and would provide updates. Astrobotic. So they're unable to, it seems like maybe their thrusters have an issue or some kind of communication issue with it being able to reorientate the lander, which would be little right, the little things. I don't know what they're called. Thrusters, mini thrusters. I don't know what they're called. I'm not I do want to go see. I haven't followed them on Twitter for these updates, and I would like to go see if they put an update. So let's go to x.com real quick and look up the company here. Chana, hey Vince, Chana, sending you love. Thank you so much, Chana. Much love back at you. Hope you're doing good. Appreciate you tuning in. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much. So Astrobotic, let's see. Do we have an update? Update number 2, 1 hour ago, on this Peregrine Mission 1. They write, Astrobotic, quote, we continue to gather data and report our best assessment of what we see. The team believes that the likely cause of the unstable sun pointing is a propulsion anomaly. Aha! That, if proven true, threatens the ability of the spacecraft to soft land on the moon. That's right, because they use those thrusters to slow down as they approach and land, as well as orientate on the way, orient itself. As the team fights to troubleshoot the issue, the spacecraft battery is reaching operationally low levels because they can't orient towards the sun to gather that sunlight energy. Just before entering a known period of communication outage, the team developed and executed an improvised maneuver to reorient the solar panels toward the sun. Shortly after this maneuver, the spacecraft entered an expected period of communication loss. We will provide more updates as Peregrine comes in view of the ground station again. All right, so they're just waiting for it to get back into view or back into communication or whatever, and we'll have updates on that. But isn't it wild that we're just unable to successfully have another moon landing or moon mission since back then? It's a little weird. It's just, this is just another failure. I mean, it's the 21st century. Why can't we just go to the moon like all the time? I don't get it. And then it's just weird too. Like Elon Musk is like, we're going to Mars. It's like, why don't you just go to the moon real quick as you get ready to go to Mars? Why is that so hard, right? I'm going to send thousands of rockets to Mars. Okay, why don't you send one to the moon? What's the big deal? I don't get it. I don't get it. Huh. What else? What else? There's a couple more articles on this, by the way. I'll just put them in the Substack right after the show. If you subscribe to that, you could read more about this mission and the science and all that. We had a large tornado touchdown the other day in the Fort Lauderdale area. Damaged the area, and some pretty scary video came out as well. Take a look at this in case you missed it. Here's that tornado. Looks like hitting some infrastructure there. Let's go back. And that's a fairly small tornado, but tornado nonetheless. Pretty frightening, huh? So, well, actually, it does touch down and it gets quite larger. Let's take a quick look. That's pretty large. Onward, crazy weather. We've got a little bit of world news. Sri Lanka joins the U.S.-led naval patrol against the Houthis. And also we've got here Sky News reporting that Russia viciously attacking peaceful cities as it launches a large-scale missile attack across Ukraine. So this is continuing. I mean, we haven't seen an end to the back and forth between Ukraine and Russia, and now wider conflicts around the world. And then we saw this, Chuck Calesta reporting that at least 10 ships linked to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard have been severely damaged after mysterious explosion. Oh, yeah, just so mysterious considering the global affairs, right? Yeah, so mysterious. I wonder what actually is going on. It's all in a foreign language. I'm going to go ahead and mute it, but I'll play this in the background as I continue on here. The delivery of the first Danish F-16 jets, F-16 fighter jets destined for Ukraine could be delayed up to 6 months in a blow to Kyiv's hopes of challenging Russia in the air in the early part of 2024. This is actually great news because F-16s, I do believe, are nuclear capable, and Russia does see this as, what they look at this and they know that, and we don't want to get closer to nuclear war, and that is a step towards a larger conflict, possibly becoming nuclear, because Russia sees F-16s flying around. They could have to just assume that there could be they have to assume the capabilities of that weapon and that it might be utilized, right? I mean, that would be probably in their best interest, or any country's best interest for that matter. Thank you, Left Maryland, for the donation. Good to see you again, Vincent fam. Thank you so much, Left Maryland, for that. I appreciate you very, very much. Thank you. Good to see you too. Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year. All right. Oh, that was on Rumble. Thank you, Left Maryland. So we've got North Korea firing around islands. Of course, they're denying it. There was some drills around some islands in the northern part of South Korea off the coast near the maritime border of North Korea. So with North Korea was firing near that island, there were evacuations, and then South Korea responded with some drills nearby as well. People are being told to stay inside. North Korea is denying it. Just some escalations there with the North and South Korea. So they are again firing artillery shots near South Korean islands, allegedly, because they're denying it. And, he said, she said, but that's going on. We also have the Italy's foreign ministers calling for the formation of EU army, further escalations of this World War III situation. Specifically, by the way, with the North Korea situation, it's Kim's powerful sister denying the rounds being fired by North Korea near the border. So it's just straight up denying it, which is interesting. But, they could be lying. They could be telling the truth. I think that they're probably lying and that they are doing these drills, but I don't know. I'm not there. Who knows? But most likely, I would say that's the case. China has arrested a suspected British spy in another story here. Huang Mamao allegedly passed state secrets to MI6 while running an unnamed foreign consultancy. China says it detained a foreign national who was allegedly gathering sensitive data on behalf of the British Secret Intelligence Service, MI6. The UK has yet to comment on the allegation. Good googly moogly. I'm going to skip this health stuff for today, considering the time we have left. Actually, let's see what other things we have here. Interestingly enough, despite the global warming narrative going on, or the climate change narrative, or they keep changing the words, I can't keep up. Chinese capital Beijing experienced its coldest December since records began in 1951, according to The Guardian. And then also I saw some articles about this whole, what people call the climate scam, because of the, when you start looking into it, you realize things aren't what they seem. And that some ice is actually more fortified and thicker and not melting away. It's just something else, I tell you. Something else. All right, let's go here. Thank you all. We're going to probably call it here. If you want to see these stories and other headlines and just some things that I glossed over today for the sake of time And you could find that all on my Substack in the description. You could subscribe to that for free, just so you have easy access to these stories and more without having to search too much. I also in there at the top, it'll have, and I'll publish it right in just like 10 minutes or so. Trump posted a video on Truth Social this morning, and it's a pretty good one. So you could check that out. War Clandestine published it on Twitter. And, there's all these accounts that they publish bad things, they publish good things. And same with all the news, right? Like I showed you the charts from Yahoo Finance. They publish garbage sometimes, in my opinion, too. A lot of these people do, but we're trying to find the nuggets of truth amongst the garbage. And that's why we see all these different things. I mean, I don't think any of these, I would say, are 100% awesome websites or links or sources. And that's just the reality of the internet, I suppose. Thank you, Quiet Toad. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. You too, Quiet Toad. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Slumdog, I really like the new V logo. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Trying to think. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to making some more of these health videos separately, so stay tuned, and upgrading just the format of the show and stuff. I'm so excited. Again, go to my website. You could contact me there if you have any feedback or suggestions or tips and stories or anything like that, including your own personal experiences. I would love to hear about it, so you're always welcome to contact me with that. And you can remain anonymous as well if you so choose, or if you don't want me to say anything, you can say don't say anything. That's fine too. I appreciate the feedback, the thumbs ups, and whatnot. I guess that's it, and that's that, folks. Let's get on with our days. I know y'all have things to do, so do I. But you can catch me on Twitter in the meantime. Until tomorrow, I'll be live again, same place, same time. Hope to see you there. Take care. God bless and Godspeed.